This is Pod Populi, podcasts for the people.
Hey there, and welcome to the Cinnamon Effect podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Hand, and I'm thrilled to have you with me on this vibrant journey of discovery and growth. This podcast is your go-to space for embracing intention, where you'll find clarity on your unique path, deepen those meaningful connections, and unleash your creativity like never before. We'll explore how to build unshakable confidence and celebrate the beauty of gratitude, all while savoring the calm that consistency brings to our lives. Thank you for being with me. Let's sprinkle a little cinnamon into your day and make life sweeter, healthier, and more fulfilling. Welcome back to the Cinnamon Effect. I'm here with Dr. Avianne Hospedales, board certified internist with over a decade of experience. And we just had part one of our podcast, and now we're rolling into part two. She agreed to sit with me.
That's awesome.
For more.
Part one was awesome, and I know part two would be equally as awesome. And our hope is to add value and that there would be some nugget in there for each and every one of your listeners.
Yes, you're definitely providing the nuggets. I love that.
Awesome.
I love that. I do want to talk to you about your mom.
Ooh.
And your mom passed away from colon
Yes.
cancer. And you mentioned that she was fearful of screenings
Yes.
and how that may have
Yes.
been, that if she would have addressed things through
Right.
routine screenings.
Right. Well, first I have to say thank you for creating that space, because I do think, although it was a big trauma, I guess, in my journey, I think her story, I think it's important to share, and hopefully it inspires somebody to take action on their health journey.
Yes.
And my mom, she was 64 when she passed. She was very simple, humble. She was joyful. She was fun. She was funny. She was the life of the party. She had so much to offer. And I truly, truly miss her. She was very distrustful of doctors, as I know many, many people are. And I totally understand why. And I believe that, in traditional medicine, we often, for some reason, patients end up in a vulnerable position. And they're not necessarily given the space to feel safe and supported and heard, etc. So, our goal and our mission really is to create that safe space, build that relationship, build that support, be there for our patients, and ask powerful questions and really identify what are the blocks. Like, most patients come to us because they want to do better, be better, feel better, right? And so if we can help identify what are the barriers for you to feel better and be healthier, and we can help you overcome the barriers, or we can eliminate the barriers for you, then we're now creating a space where you can engage with your healthcare in a very different way. You may be more open to certain life-changing tests, such as a screening colonoscopy. And so I think that's an important message, that, screening tests, they do save lives. I know there's a lot of fear and concern about that. And getting, a partner on the health journey who could be supportive to you is super important. So although terribly sad for me, I use this story always to share. And
Yes.
she's in wherever she's in heaven and the afterlife, she's doing good work by bringing this story and awareness to others.
Oh, so that you can help other people.
Yes. It's a powerful, powerful story. And, I sit here and I share that with you, but it wasn't always so easy for me to speak about, but I feel at peace, to sit here and share that story with you. And it was all for a reason.
Yeah. I think it goes back to actually your message from the first part of this podcast, which was that you were finding a medical partner.
Yes.
And a team.
Yes.
And maybe if she would have felt
Yes.
that,
Yes.
Yes. Or been the CEO,
Yes.
like you said,
Yes.
like, I think that's such an important message.
Yes.
That you're in
Yes.
power and you have to find the
Yes.
right fit.
Yes. And if you are dismissed, or even let's say you have fears and you have concerns and you're written off and they're not really addressed and you're not supported, that's enough information to say, hey, I can choose, and I will find somebody who can be supportive to me on my journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So for the screenings themselves,
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about that and give you the space to share, maybe certain screenings, at what age you should do this, the different things that we need to be aware of. I feel like I'm approaching 45 and I'm like, I know there's certain things and benchmarks that, we need to pay attention to.
Yes. So, colonoscopy, one of my favorite ones, because in medicine, there's not a lot of interventions or tests that we can do that directly save lives. So for example, a mammogram, that's early detection. By the time something is on a mammogram, we're not removing it, we're just seeing it, and that will lead to early intervention. But with colonoscopy, you literally can see a polyp, remove the polyp, and you're preventing that polyp that will sit there for 10 years, 15 years to become a cancer. So you literally are directly impacting a life. And, that starts at age 45. If there's family history, there's room to do that earlier. And so if you have a first degree relative who's had colon cancer, you definitely want to get set up with a GI and get that colonoscopy scheduled. The mammogram, we begin at age 40 unless there's another reason to do that. If there's symptoms or there's a mass, we want to do that. If it's done earlier than 40, we would pair that with a breast ultrasound. I know in the functional medicine space, thermography is, very popular. And so that would be something we would discuss as to what's going to be the path for you and, support our patients on that journey as well. And then the pap smear is pretty young. It starts at age 21 and it's every 3 years. So those would be, and I guess for a man, the PSA is a little bit of a controversial test because the idea is that, hey, if you live long enough, the prostate gets bigger and, most people, they say die with prostate cancer. So it is a controversial test. We are proactive. So we want to know what the baseline is. And, when you're in a practice that, maybe we're engaging with hormones like testosterone, and testosterone can elevate the PSA, this will be a vital test for us. And then I know we spoke about the liquid biopsy in the earlier podcast, but I think it's important to also bring that up at this point as well, because tying that into novel therapies such as, hormones like testosterone, but even certain peptides, peptides are awesome, right? And there's certainly a role and a space for it. And also some of the risks, which are real, are that they promote what we call angiogenesis. So the growth of these tiny, tiny vessels, and cancer cells, they love these tiny, tiny vessels. So if we were to engage and support our patients on a peptide journey, we would want to be super aggressive with screening tests. So we want to make sure you're up to date with all of your standard screening tests. A Grail gallery biopsy would add a layer of okay, we feel good, but we're definitely not prescribing medications and newer therapies where we have data, but the data is somewhat limited. We want to engage with these in a very safe, thoughtful manner, if and when we do.
Yeah, the peptides, I mean, that's obviously a huge conversation and people are very interested in it, but I think that's a good point. It requires monitoring.
Exactly right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to circle back. We talked about the liquid biopsy. We didn't talk about grip strength and the DEXA scan.
Oh, favorite.
I want to talk more about those. Yes.
So the DEXA scan, I think, is such a powerful tool. So what we're talking about is it's an advanced body composition DEXA. So it's not just the DEXA that patients, typically get prescribed at age 65 in traditional medicine. So usually, so it's a DEXA and it looks at your bone mineral density. So how strong are your bones? And the idea is that, okay, 65, you're high risk for osteoporosis. Let's identify the people with osteoporosis or osteopenia and let's give them medication. So this approach is not that. So now we're talking an advanced body composition DEXA, which in addition to the bone mineral density, we also get, information such as muscle mass, the visceral fat, the overall body fat percentage. And so this is really cool. What I love the advanced body composition DEXA for is to connect dots. So a lot of us focus on what's my weight? I want to lose weight. So this is a popular reason for patients to either want to engage with us or a functional medicine doctor or some other similar practice, the weight loss. So we're like, what's the weight? And the invitation here is like, let's shift from what's my weight to what's my muscle mass and what's my body fat percentage. So muscle is actually heavier than fat. So as you gain muscle, the weight will go up, right? But the idea is if you're investing in the muscle mass, your body gets more efficient. So now you're burning fat more efficiently. You're metabolizing sugar more efficiently. You're using your energy more efficiently. So it's not about the weight, because we can take, you know, with, let's say you have extra body fat, and usually what we have in mind is like, oh, I'll get smaller. But our invitation, again, it's not about that. It's about how do we change the body composition? How do we increase muscle mass? And how do we decrease the body fat, especially the visceral fat, which surrounds the organs and can cause, you know, health issues as well. When we do this type of test, our patients, we get so specific. So you can say, hey, this is the goal for your muscle mass. This is where you are. 2 pounds of muscle mass. That's going to be the goal. And so we go from this very vague type of, I want to lose weight, to, nope, we want you to gain 2 pounds of muscle mass, and, you know, we're going to lose the body fat, but we're going to do that in such like a cool way. It's like going to blow your mind. We're just going to focus on building the muscle because we're going to work smart, not hard.
So maybe strength training and more protein.
Strength training, more protein. Exactly right. Yes.
I love so you post some videos of you doing some strength training too, which I love that because that's such a core component.
Thank you. Yeah. And, you know, I would have to share that I didn't always do strength training, and just going back to the body composition scan. So traditionally, we would order a DEXA scan, just the bones, at age 65. But what, you know, in my 30s, I did a body composition DEXA, the first one, and it showed that I was osteopenic. So imagine if I waited until I was 65, I definitely would have been osteoporotic on medications if I hadn't fractured a bone earlier.
Wow.
Right. So then this allowed me to understand, hey, we got to really go and get into strength training, but not just strength. We got to incorporate jumping in there and like really doing the weight training, not just showing up to the gym and like flexing.
Yeah. And looking cute.
Yes, we have to do the work. And interestingly enough, my bone density increased with this approach. So I improved the osteopenia with strength training.
Wow.
Yes.
So osteopenia is like the precursor to osteoporosis.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you can do it earlier than the DEXA scan. You would do it earlier now.
We would do this because we're getting so much information, not just the bone mineral density, but we're getting the muscle mass and the body fat. So all of our patients have a DEXA. I don't want to say, maybe close to 100% of our patients have had a DEXA scan.
Okay. Is it how is it scanning you?
Oh, it looks like so you lay on this little machine, and then there's this piece that just goes over you, and you spend about maybe 10 minutes or less on there, and then you get this awesome report with very, you know, nitty-gritty details about the exact how many grams of muscle do you have in your right arm, your left arm, your legs, like all of the things.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm like, I need that.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Because I feel like, you know, we all get so fixated on the number on the scale.
Yes.
And like you're saying, the muscle weighs more than fat, and we may not be able to determine. Right. Because I'll be like, I've been working out and I feel good. Yes. And the number on the scale has like shot up, you know?
Of course. Yeah. So it's less about the number on the scale, but it's more of what's my muscle mass doing, and then what's my body fat percentage doing. And I would say, like, the body fat would be the lagging indicator, because the better we get at the muscle efficiency and the more we kind of optimize the nutrition aspect, the body fat takes care of itself. Yes, there are other issues that we would have to rule out, like the thyroid issues or the cortisol. And yes, our blood work will kind of highlight some of those areas. But for the most part, if we prioritize the investment in the muscle, we get so much bang for our buck.
What drew you from more of a traditional medicine approach to functional medicine? Was there any specific thing, or were you like you had more to play with than functional medicine? Kind of.
Yeah. So a little bit of everything. So my mom's story kind of always stuck out to me. And in traditional medicine, the time is an issue. So you're seeing 23 patients a day, 25. I think some practices in the area, I think they see upwards of 30 patients a day. So that is, and you got to do notes. So let's say you're allotted 20 minutes a patient, 10 of those you're trying to do notes, they're talking, you're on the computer. And, with my mom's story in mind, like if we're really going to make a difference in that person's life, is 10 minutes once a year or 10 minutes twice a year, is that going to make a difference? And what I'm asking them about is vaccines. And I'm like trying to get like things that really don't matter, because the other piece of this, with traditional medicine, is how the incentives are aligned. So doctors are incentivized to see a high volume of patients. That's the incentive. So you are incentivized to, let me see 25, let me see 26. So that means less time with each person. And that's a conveyor belt type of model. You're now a number, you're not a person. And I just didn't think that was conducive for better health and like really making an impact. So when I kind of challenged myself to say, hey, if I had a magic wand, what would I be doing? What would it look like? And it would be time with people, because I think that's really how you make a difference. It's conversation, it's asking really great questions, which is also a part of the reason I became a professional coach, because there's so much power in a question to help somebody unlock and like get to a new level. So how do we coach for better health? And then exactly what you said, the expanded toolkit. So traditional medicine, we have amazing tools, and which is why I feel like what we do is so special, because I think, there are other functional maybe practices or other longevity experts. And yes, there are tools in that area, right? And also traditional medicine, there's so many tools. So to have access to all the tools, it's like, wow, like if you are not well, we can help you. And that's another very important point of healthy people get sick too. And when you get sick, who has your back? Who's in your corner? Can you help me when I'm sick? Or are you only there for me when I'm well and I'm trying to be optimal? And so this was something that is the core of our practice, is just really good medicine, like traditional medicine, like being available, being accessible, being reachable, good primary care. Like that, there's no longevity without good primary care. Like longevity is up here, but a colonoscopy is on the path to longevity. And a whatever test that we decide is right for you, those screening tests are on the path.
Yeah.
So that is kind of where this all came together, of like, we want to really have an impact, and to make an impact, we need to spend time. We need to know patients. We need to know what they're struggling with, what they're dealing with. How does that stress show up for them? It may be reflected in a high cortisol, but we can go deeper and we can really help them.
You had an interesting comment actually off the mic about doctors and maybe traditional medicine doctors that are kind of overworking themselves.
Yes.
Like you said, they're going for that volume, right? And maybe showing them there's a better way.
Right. And so I think the volume issue really is a big problem. And I think 78% of all physicians are employed. So they're in this system, whether it's in a hospital or in a traditional practice, they're in a system where you're on a hamster wheel, like seeing a lot of patients. that is not joyful. That is not joyful for the patients. That's not joyful for the doctors. I can recall many a day when, I mean, I was always pretty good with lunch. I'd probably skip lunch a few times. I was really good with like trying to have lunch. But for some physicians, like they would skip lunch. They don't go to the bathroom. And there's a lot of pressure, right? Like, patients in the waiting room, they're not happy. So you're trying to manage like that. And then, you have messages coming in for so it's a lot, and it's not an environment that's conducive for good health of the physician. And then now we have unhealthy people, right? Mentally, emotionally, caring for unhealthy people. So it's a really just toxic cycle. And so, our vision is to create this beautiful ecosystem where patients do really well because one, they feel loved and cared for in a safe space with the compassion, and they have access to newer technologies and newer therapies, and they are the priority, and we have time and we support and we listen. But also the physicians get to practice in a way that it was meant to be practiced, which is building relationships with the patients as well. So the idea is that we have this system where the patients win, the doctors win, and like it's just wonderful for everybody.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank
That's
you.
beautiful. But you never really think about the actual physician's health and the
Right.
stress that they're putting
Yes.
themselves under. So how are they
Yes.
going to,
Right.
consult you on your
Yes.
lifestyle
Yes.
choices that are
Yes.
maybe contributing to you not
Yes.
feeling very well?
Yes. And I recall even like being in that state too. And of course, I identify as being a high performer, a high achiever. And, I worked in South Florida. So the culture is like cafecito and coffee. And I would have 4 coffees. I would have 2 Americanos and then like 2 cafecitos throughout the day. And I'm like, and I took pride in that because I was like, oh, I had my cup of coffee. You guys got to keep up with me.
Yeah.
But then like you get tired, right? So then what else do you do? There's a culture in healthcare to pass around donuts or cookies. And you're like, oh, I'm kind of stressed out. I'm behind with notes. I'll grab this. I'll grab that. And so we have the sugar going up. The cortisol is going up. And then this is like such a bad cycle. And then, of course, you're not exercising because you're up, you're not strength training. So you have osteopenia, you got high cholesterol, which I had, all of this stuff that you have going on under the hood. But you look great.
You look great because you do look great,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Hospedales.
You look great. So much under the hood.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny because I actually worked for a surgeon, 2 surgeons years ago, over 15 years ago. But and I remember that the notes and the and the just grabbing whatever kind of food was around, just
Yes.
always on the go.
Yes.
So stressful.
So stressful. And this conditioning happens in residency. So I remember we had this mantra: eat when you can, sleep when you can, and pee when you can.
Unreal.
And then now I have to coach you on how to sleep. Like, I don't know. Or how to manage yourself. Like there's no, so it's a real, like the system conditions for not health, it's for sickness. And so to step outside of that and unlearn and download new ideas, I think is really also a process, and it's very scary. And also there are not a lot of leaders in the space. So finding others who have done it before, and learning from them. I love Dr. Peter Attia, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, Dr. Mark Hyman, and they really are inspiring because I'm sure their journey was not easy to unlearn and to do something really different. It's not easy. I'm happy that I can look up to them and I have them as an example. I don't know them personally, but
Yeah, one day.
but yes, I have them as an example.
Yeah.
Which is really powerful.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
I want to talk about grip strength and longevity.
Yes.
How does that
Strength.
determine? Because I have read things about
Right.
that your actual
Yes.
grip
Yes.
determines how long you will live.
Right.
Can you talk about that?
And so it's a small shift. So it's less about like determining how long you can live, but more of like insight into where you stand. And all it is really is just a reflection of how strong you are, which is related to how much muscle mass we have. So the less muscle we have, the less strength we have, the weaker our grip. There's so many different ways that we can test it. So we even have this little grip strength device where you hold it and you squeeze, and then we can see the pounds of like grip strength. And then there's a normative data chart that we would look at for your age. Where did you fall? And so we can show that to the patients of like, okay, you're below where people your age would be. This is an area for us to work on. And again, like, these are just tools and I use them as information, but I do think using data and information is really important, especially when we talk about behavior change. So at the root of all of it, we're trying to influence behavior change, more strength training, less processed foods, more whole foods, sleep better. Like these are the things we're trying to influence, but the more data and information I can give to you, the more we can build that case. So we're building a case of, oh wait, we have osteopenia, the grip strength is low. All right, like I got all of this stuff, like I got to do something. I got to I have insulin resistance. I have all this stuff. Like I got to strength train. So it's just an extra data point. The other thing without the device, it doesn't have to be that. There is the hang test. So you can hang from a bar. There's like the pull-up bars at the gym. We have one at home that you can just play around with. How long can I hang for? And I'll tell you, I couldn't hang. I still can't hang for as long as my 5-year-old son.
Oh.
And we have incentivized him for some hang time.
Oh, I love that.
So he's so awesome. We said, okay, if you do, don't judge us for this. This is not the best influencing tactics, but we did it. We bribed him. So we said, if you can hang for 30 seconds, like you'll have something. And he did it, and we were like, oh, wow, he crushed that. That was like too small of a goal. And then we pushed it. We were like 45 seconds. And then I think it was something like he got up to 90 seconds and got like this big Lego thing.
Wow.
But my point in sharing that is that you can make it fun and make it a part of the lifestyle and the culture in your home. So the culture in our home is we have boxes and things right outside of our door that we can engage in physical activity if we're outside. So if we're hanging out outside on the lounges, etc., my son is doing a hanging bar. We have the boxes where you can do the pull-ups. We have the TRX. So I don't need to go to a gym to engage in physical activity.
Yes.
And that's just our culture at home.
I love that. It doesn't have to be like an event. It can just be having the tools right there. Yes. Like if you have books laying out, or, it could be with anything, exactly. I feel like. Or the fresh fruit bowl. Exactly. My son is more apt to like grab an orange than he is, something else. And
exactly. Ooh, I think that reminds us of maybe Atomic Habits. I think they say make it easy. Yeah. So make it easy means what's the cue? So yes, exactly that. I'll put the bowl right out front because I'm making that change now easy. I don't have to go looking for it. I don't have to go to the gym. I don't need to go put my clothes on, get in my car, drive to the gym. I'm making it so easy for myself.
Yes.
I just need to open the door.
I love that. I'm all about that. I think as busy moms, like it's got to be easy. It's got to fit into the routine. Yes. I've actually gotten into rebounding. Ooh. And so I have my little mini trampoline. Wow. And I'll put it outside and I'll get like some morning sunlight. I did it this morning. I put on like 4 or 5 songs, which ends up being 20 minutes and, bouncing. And now I've started doing, because I've taken a fitness class on a trampoline. Wow. Sarah Fisher, I'll give her a shout out. And so now I'm kind of using some of her moves and doing it at home. But it's like right there, and it's easy. And that's why I think I like it so much. Is because of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, the easy thing.
Easy, yes. I love that. Overcoming the barriers.
Yes. So what do you want to leave the audience with in regards to longevity medicine?
Yes. I really want to, and I know we've touched on this a few times, but I will underscore. The time to start is now. Prevention is better than cure. I would say it's really important to find a partner on the journey and start wherever you can. So if it is that you don't have access to functional medicine, start with traditional medicine and get a basic blood test done. Get up to date with the screening test. And then maybe start planning for the future. If you think that you would want functional medicine or a concierge type of practice in your future, visualize it and work towards that. But it doesn't have to be today. And that also shouldn't hold you back because there's so much you could do today to really invest in your health.
Yes. Don't wait. Do it now.
Do it now. Yes. Now is the time.
And that's a message from your mama.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So because this is the cinnamon effect and I use cinnamon as what I think we add to life to make it sweeter, healthier, and more fulfilling, I want to know what your cinnamon effect is.
Wow. So I feel this is something that I think is such a deep question, right? And I think we can go in so many different ways with it.
And you can go in all the ways.
And I think this is a question that I personally will take away and go deeper on. But what I sense my cinnamon effect is to elevate myself and those around me. And there are ways that I enjoy doing that. And honestly, it's through asking really great questions, being curious. And I think showing us a different way of thinking, different perspectives, and helping others, including myself, to shift perspective. Always be shifting and evolving. And I thought of this one way, but did I miss an opportunity to think about it differently? And I think that's my cinnamon effect, to help us think differently about, situations and circumstances and challenges.
Yeah. Oh, you're so warm and inviting.
Thank you.
People would be lucky to be in your care. I want to know, actually, do you do anything remote? Do you do?
I do.
Oh, you do?
Oh my gosh. We have virtual visits. We have this amazing platform where we communicate with our patients, where I can see all of the messages and our nurse practitioners. So there's always, availability and accessibility. It's interesting, we're in Delray Beach. Most of our patients come in person for the first visit. And I find that may be because of conditioning of that's the expectation of I'm going to see the doctor. It has to be in person. But what we find is that, because they're busy people, virtual is a wonderful tool that allows us to connect and get a lot done, So yes, we offer virtual and our patients enjoy it, and we support however you want to be supported, whether it's in person or it's virtual.
And someone they could be virtually anywhere, basically, in the world, right?
Well, that's some details that we're still working out, but virtually anywhere in Florida. I'm also licensed in Colorado, interestingly enough.
Oh.
Yes. So yes, we're available virtually for our local people.
Oh, that's so
Florida.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Dr. Avianne Hospedales, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We had part 1 and part 2. I think you answered really great questions and had a lot of things for people to think about and some take homes for them to evaluate on their own medical journey, whatever that might be. Yeah, we're all on a crazy path. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know what? Let's shout out again one more time what your how people can reach you.
Oh yes. People can reach me on Instagram at Dr. Avi _. So that's DOCTORAVI _, or at our website, which is www.curated.care. CARE.
Excellent.
Yay.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Cinnamon Effect. If you enjoyed our time together, don't forget to hit that follow button on your podcast app and sprinkle a little love by leaving us a 5-star rating and a quick review. Your support means the world to me. For even more goodness, check out the show notes where you'll find links to some of my favorite products. And don't forget to visit thecinnamoneffect.com to connect with me directly or to grab your TCE Gratitude Journal, your next step towards a more grateful life. I can't wait to spice things up with you again next time. Stay vibrant, stay inspired, and remember to add a little cinnamon to your life every day.